Well, I've been a season ticket now for 20 years, and I can honestly say it's probably the worst I've ever seen in that 20 years period. And it pains me because Potter's a really nice guy, and you always want an English manager to succeed, do well. But watching Chelsea, I just don't know what I'm watching anymore. I don't know what formation we play. I don't know what philosophy we got. I don't know if we sit and defend. We don't attack generally anymore. We just concede goals like they're going out of fashion. It's the worst I've ever seen. I just don't know where
But Jay, would it be wrong to change the manager at this time?
Well, I just listened to you saying, do we go backwards to go forwards? I mean, we're going backwards quite rapidly, and we're 10th. I've never known Chelsea to be 10th in the last 20 years.
Well, you were 10th in 2015-16.
Yeah, and won the league the next
same
year.
points. No, they didn't, because Leicester won the league that year. But
yeah, you still think you should get more time, Jay?
No, me personally, I can't cope with it anymore every day. Normally when Chelsea lose, I don't speak to my wife. I haven't spoken to her since Boxing Day. It's just, it's a depressing time in the Chelsea world, and it's like I say, we're playing players out of position on a constant basis. I don't know where it's coming from. I mean, I've seen Conor Gallagher play a right wing back, and I'm just confused of what's going on. It's just never happened before.
Okay, all right. Jay, listen, thanks for taking time out to call us. So many coming in. We'll try and get through as many as we can this morning. I'll read out some texts as well. The texts that I see, Simon, and you've got the screen in front of you as well. Most of what I see say keep him just now. Daniel Lavender. Listen, we all know what will happen. Potter will get sacked. All the injured players will return. And whoever the new manager is will be patted on the back for returning Chelsea to winning ways. Potter needs time, and he needs a full squad to pick from. Jason, Chelsea fan, do you agree with Daniel?
No, I just think that we need to stick with him. And my big thing is, I know that they're not playing well, and I get that. But like I think Simon mentioned maybe 5-10 minutes ago, I'd be interested to know how many other teams in the league would be able. I'm not just blaming everything on injuries, but look, there was at least 5 players last night that would have started the game, not just been in the matchday squad, would have started. Well, that's pretty much half your team. He's not had anywhere near a fully fit squad to choose from. So it is like, plugging holes with players that are not used to that position. I know we have a good squad. I'm not debating that. But to compete, would Arsenal, for example, if you was to take 5 of their first team players out, would they be able to be where they are at the moment?
It's a good point, Stuart, isn't it? If the same thing was to affect Arsenal at this time, would they suddenly go backwards?
Not your front liners. You cannot lose 5 front liners in this division and be anywhere near sort of competitive. Not against the big teams, or conversely, teams that are doing particularly well, like Fulham. Fulham are doing really well at the moment. The story today should be as much about Fulham as it is Chelsea for me.
No, that's a good point. We'll get to that. Danny Murphy was saying the other day, you've got a proven goal scorer with Chelsea. His name is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But notwithstanding that, Aubameyang comes with his own bag of travails. And whether Chelsea can play the way that it would suit Aubameyang. Look, the big thing is about Potter is there was a reason for hiring him. And if you've got him in the door and suddenly realise that what you thought he was very different to what he is, then you've got a bag of trouble if you're an owner. And I would suspect that's probably not the case. What we've got is a situation where it isn't going according to the script that you have to have at Chelsea. You do have these background situations which are nuancing the outcomes with a whole raft of players. And I saw it on Sky this morning. 11 players, all of them frontline players out of this side. From the goalkeeper, I know the goalkeeper didn't cover himself in particular glory in recent terms, Mendy, but notwithstanding that, he gets thrown into the feature because the other kid doesn't do very much. Kepa went through a period of reacclimatising himself, but not enough. So I look at it and say, unless Bowley is now looking at this going, geez, I thought you were something different, and I've seen you for 3 months now, you're not. If he's not having that thought process, then there is absolutely no parallel universe. Any grown-up, and he's got to be a grown-up if he spent £2.5 billion to buy a football club, he's going to sit there and go, you're out. So people have got, and he got Dortmund coming up in the Champions League. These are the things that will start to shape the direction of people's narratives changing. If he goes and beats Dortmund in the Champions League when he's got players back, the essence will come out of certain people's perspectives.
The mood will change. Yeah. The mood will change, sure.
Did anyone think when Graham Potter left Brighton, he was the finished article? Because none of us thought that in football. So with that comes a growth period where he's got to find out whether he's good enough to handle a team that are expected to win week in, week out.
Yeah.
And that's the problem for him, because Chelsea have set over the last 20 years a blueprint for only employing what they perceive to be the finished article.
Yeah.
And even the finished article gets their walking papers after 18 months.
Could it be argued, sure, he's got options? He brought on Ziyech last night. Aubameyang's on the bench. He has options.
He looks to me as though he's airing on some of the youngsters. You know, he played Hall at left back, who I think will be a very good player. When you look at him, he's an 18-year-old kid, but he gives the ball away, the ball goes in the box and it ends up in the back of your net. Young kids make mistakes. He seems to me as though he's looking at it and thinking, I'm going to give one or two of these young kids. Even when he made substitutions, it was a couple of young kids in Gallagher and the boy from Villa come on. And it looks as though, look, I'm going to give everyone a chance and see where we go from there.
Well, Gallagher gives you energy, doesn't he? He comes in and he runs around and gives you a lot of energy.
Okay, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in front of me, Simon. Morning, lads. I'm a huge Chelsea fan. I've been going since 1980. We've got to keep Potter. No good changing managers all the time. And sure, it's right. So many key players out. Kante, Chilwell, James, back soon. Back to do a job. George, Chelsea fan, you take us to the half-10 bulletin. Where do you stand on this morning? Good morning.
Morning, guys. Great show as always. The problem is not Potter. The problem is not Bowie. The problem is them dealing with an old regime. The old regime was bad. It's an old regime. It's a new regime dealing with an old regime. Look at that squad. You know, the squad is not good enough. It's a not good enough squad. When you got our injury players back, yes, there's some good players in there, but the place is becoming toxic. Screaming Tuchel's name, screaming Roman's name just adds to the negativity. Okay, they're dealing with board signings, Lukaku, Havertz. You know, what's all that about? When you got a kid that came in last night, Felix, that's been there for 48 hours, and he was the best player on the pitch for 60 minutes. I saw our attackers doing more than I've seen all season. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
George has got a point, is he not? Sure.
The old regime is bad, and they're trying to get rid of it. And until we sort it out, now you're seeing the cracks from Roman. Now you're seeing
I'm sorry, George. What regime are you talking about? The team that finished third in the league last year, got to 2 cup finals, and won a Champions League a year earlier. What's so awful about that regime?
Yeah, but that was how Roman worked. Fire, hire and fire, hire and fire. It just smoothed over the crack.
Which made you the most successful trophy-winning team over the last 2 decades.
Yes, we're the most decorated club in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, but you cannot fault that, Simon. There were cracks in that. It was a toxic atmosphere within that club. You know?
Wow, I tell you what, most clubs would take that toxicity all day.
No, well, I was going to say, the bottom line is, George, Potter stays for now, right?
Potter stays for now. Yeah, Potter does stay for now. And hand on heart, who are we going to go and get? Pochettino, someone like that? No. Do you know who I'd like at our club? I'd like Vincent Kompany.
Well, he's brought us to a very much a standing still moment there. Vincent Kompany, one name thrown into the mix. Pochettino seems to be the name that's thrown in for every vacant job. Stuart, has he got a point, though? Has he got a point there?
I don't see the club being toxic. I look at it, the only people that can probably turn around and make that statement are probably managers that got fired before they thought their time was up.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I don't see the terraces thinking we've got a toxic club.
Yeah.
Certainly the boardroom don't, because trophies are coming in and one thing and another. So I don't see Chelsea as being a toxic environment by any means of the imagination. They're going through a period now where a lot of these fans that have been, fans for 20 years or whatever, all of a sudden, they've got no bragging rights whatsoever. And, Arsenal fans and various other fans around the country are giving them a bit of flack, and it's very difficult to handle, and they don't like it.
Okay, if ever a manager and a club needs a win, it's this weekend. It's Chelsea against Palace. We'll see if they get it. Potter remains in the job for now. 10:30.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.